Hey, welcome to Creative for More, the podcast. Over here, our conversations are centered around birthing the more that exists within you. We help you mine your originality, live more resiliently, and leverage all of your experiences so that you can serve the world as the highest expression of yourself. My guests will challenge your thinking and give you practical insights for being more, doing more, and having more. My name is Tombra Muswagu, and I am your host. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome. Welcome to today's installment of Creative for More, the podcast. I'm super excited to have you here with me today. And today I have a fascinating guest, one that I'm super eager to speak with because of the topic we're going to be discussing today. And her name is Dr. Glory Edozien. And Glory is a LinkedIn visibility coach and a lead consultant at the Inspired by Glory Academy, where she leads mid to senior level career women on how to build visibility and establish thought leadership on LinkedIn. So if you don't have a link, if you don't know anything about LinkedIn, first of all, you want to be sliding into Glory's DM. I'll link in all her details as per usual. But what Glory does is to help them get the recognition that they deserve, earn more money, and climb up the corporate career ladder. Glory has won, she's an alumni of the World Economic Forum Global Shapers and has been listed as one of Nigeria's 100 most inspiring women. Yay! Glory, welcome, and thank you for being here. She's doing a jig for people who are listening. It's so cute.
I am super excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Tombra.
You are so welcome. So I've read a really, really very, I think I did that in like 1 minute or a minute and a half or something. Really, really tiny, abbreviated version of who you are. The truth is that you are many things, I'm sure. So I want you to just kind of introduce yourself to my listeners in your own words, Tell us what was on that script that I read.
Oh dear. So, oh gosh, I think introducing yourself can be one of the most difficult things.
I know.
So I'll give you my normal line that I tell people. So my name is Dr.
We want
Glory
a special one. We want a special one. We don't
a special one.
Yeah.
No, okay, special. I'm a LinkedIn visibility coach and personal branding strategist, and my goal is to help women specifically build visibility, help women to get seen for the great work that they do. I find that a lot of times, and it's not really about the outward version of people seeing you or you becoming famous. It's really about the inward side of who you are, coming to terms with the greatness that is in you.
I love it because a lot of times I had a guest on the show once and she was talking about the fact that a lot of times, as you say, the things that we do really, really super easily, we don't see them as valuable. But the truth is that, those things, they are our superpowers. A lot of people see because you do it, and for instance, you're a visibility coach, you do that and it might come really, really easily to you. But there came a time, in your journey that you thought, actually, this is really, really valuable. It's not something I'm just going to continue doing for free for people. I will actually build a business out of it. So how would you kind of talk someone through just that journey of making the transition? And I recognize that we have just totally gone, but some conversations also happen like that. Let's just be flowing.
So I think you have to understand what is valuable to others, in the sense that what you have that others need, right? So the truth about it is I'm a great speaker. I speak very well. I'm a great communicator in general. So I'm good at listening. I'm good at communicating what I want to say, whether it's verbally or written. But that's for me. That's my business. That I'm great at that until I can describe that skill in a way that solves a problem for someone needs it. I haven't articulated my value, right? Okay. When I started my journey in entrepreneurship, I used to talk about self-love. Oh, you need to love yourself. You need to love yourself. The truth about it is that people know they need to love themselves. Many people don't love themselves but think that they do, but it's not a problem. Nobody's sitting down saying, I need to love myself
Yeah,
more.
I love myself more.
Yeah, they're not seeing that as a problem. They go to church, they tell them in church, God loves you. Wherever they, do you understand? They are friends.
Yeah.
So it's not really a problem, right? So until you've been able to articulate, but me, actually, I had to really sit down and think, what am I, with self-love, what am I really saying? And with that, it was confidence. And then what does confidence do for you? When you're confident, what are you able to achieve, right? So when
Okay.
you're confident, you're able to connect with people, right? You don't go to a networking event and sit back down. You want to connect. And when you look at people, women in careers, one of the issues they have is building connections, finding mentors, finding career sponsors, letting people know about the great work they do, because they've been told that, you shouldn't talk about your accomplishments. Empty barrels make the most noise. Your good work will speak for you. But inside, they are suffering because they are seeing other people take the recognition that they deserve, right? They're
Especially their
seeing
male
other people.
counterparts.
Exactly. They're seeing other people take accolades for the work that they did. So until I was able to articulate that, okay, this is not about self-love. This is about you being seen for
About
the
you
great
being
work that you
seen for
do.
the day. Okay.
That's the value there. And then I now say, okay, where do people want to be seen? They want to be seen in their careers. They want to be known as thought leaders. Because those are real questions. I've spent 20 years in my career. What's next for me? I want to be a thought leader. I want to leverage on this experience. I want people to know about me. I want people to call me to speak at conferences. I want to learn how to speak publicly. I want to have speaking engagements. I want to be on podcasts. I want to be invited to international channels. I want to be featured on lists as most inspiring woman. That's where all the self-love and
Ching,
everything I
ching.
was talking about, that's where it comes in.
It's still
I
the
now
same
understand.
message, but it's
Still the same
packaged
message.
in
It's
a way
packaged
that,
in a way that is valuable to somebody else.
oh, now packaging. I love it.
Oh dear.
Well, Gloria, I want to touch generally, and this might be a breakthrough moment for somebody that is listening to this. What is it that causes women? When you were kind of alluded to it there, that women, we watch our male counterparts go ahead and they're doing all this great stuff. What do you think is often the thing that causes us to hold ourselves back, especially in a work environment?
There are many things. So the first one is social constructs, right? So we've been told. So let's start from when we're in school. When we're in school, good girls raise up their hands. Good girls, you study, you sit down, you study, you read your book, whatever. Boys could be boisterous, they could play, they could do all of that and everything. But a good girl, she wears her school uniform, is neat, she lays her bed in the morning, she writes her exam, all of that. Now, unfortunately, when you come into the real world, the game has changed. It's not, oh, teacher, I know the answer, I know the answer. It's who is going to talk in the boardroom in an eloquent way, who is going to capture attention. So the rules of engagement change. So that's the first one. So we are not equipped, again, because of social constructs, because you've been told that women should keep quiet, women are not the ones to talk. Your when you get married, your husband can talk for you. All of these things, all of these preset notions, we carry them with us. Right. We've also been told that women, we want to be liked versus respected. So all of these things are juggling in our heads, right? The second thing is also how we see ourselves, right? A lot of times, there's this lady that does public speaking coaching, and she gave this example in a book, and she said one of the things she gets her participants to do when they are doing presentations is record themselves and then watch their presentations back. And she said that the women would say, "Oh my God, look at my hair. Look at my
Can you
pimple. Look at
imagine?
what I'm wearing. Oh my God." The men, the only comments you hear about their appearance, this my tie is like not good. That's
That is it.
very,
That's the most.
so I don't know what it is. There's a lot of study about self-confidence and women and things like that, but women, we tend to be very hard on ourselves. I'm not saying that men are always confident and things like that and everything. This idea that a man, they will tell you, men and their ego. It's a social construct. Women have ego, you have pride. We have it, but then we've been taught that it's men that have ego. As a woman, your ego will not get you far. So all of these things, prevent us sometimes. And then we're also not equipped socially sometimes for these conversations. Men, men are out there building relationships. They know, they understand. Men, they can be very transactional in their relationships. Oh, this is my guy that hooks me up with this, and there's no issue. But women, they want to be best friends. They want to be this. They want to be that, and really, real life does not accommodate many of these constructs that we have. So all of these things, prevent us.
What would you say for someone who works with women, on a professional basis?
So I think we've made progress from the times of like my mom and things like that, in sense of accepting that, okay, women can advance to senior roles, and we've made some progress around that. However, I think one of the biggest challenges we have, especially in Africa, is gender-based roles at home. And I think that really impacts on the career. This idea that women are the sole responsibility, children are the sole responsibility of the woman, and taking care of the home is the sole responsibility of the woman, is one of the issues that I feel in Africa really holds women back from excelling in the workplace, right? Because if my child is sick and I'm married, and myself and my husband are working, but then suddenly it is only me that has to take that responsibility, right? Or if it is me that has to always pick my kids up from school, has to give them food, has to go to the market, has to do this, how do you expect on a like-for-like basis, man and woman that entered the workforce at the same time, have equal talent, are on the same team, competing for the same opportunities? One is a man, one is a woman. Both are married, both have 2 children, live in the same area, everything being equal. How do we advance when one person has an extra pressure, right? Has to take, and not from any fault of hers, right? Being a woman and having children is a biological right. It is God that gives, do you understand? So you cannot punish me for populating the world. Do you understand? Do you understand? So I think until those things are sorted, until we're able to give men paternity leave, and there is no shame attached to men taking paternity leave. And I'm not talking about 2 days in a month. What's that? Do you understand? I'm talking about until men are also taking paternity leave, until men understand that this home, it is both of us. Both of us came together to form these children. It is both of us that will train them together. Until we realize that entering the kitchen is not sole occupation of a woman. Until we understand that marriage is a partnership. Until we really understand that in all of its ramifications, I feel that we will continue to struggle when it comes to the advancement of women in the workplace. So that's why a lot of women at the end of the day, just like, how much am I earning? Because there's so much guilt. There's the motherhood guilt. Let's forget that you're also taking care of your husband. So there is the wife guilt. Then there is the guilt of work. Because you love this job. You want to, you had a dream before you became a mother. You are a mother, but it's an extension of you. There are other parts of you want to fulfill. So there's that guilt. There's the guilt of letting your team down. There are assumptions people are making on your behalf. Don't include Glory. Her child has been having colds recently. They think they are doing you a favor, but they are Xing you from situations. So some people, all of these things, and then the truth about not everybody is the same. Some women are able to be resilient and tough it out and, just grapple with it. Some women are just like, I don't need this. Some women are just like, let me go and walk somewhere where there's no stress. Everybody is different, and you cannot begrudge any woman her reaction. There are some women, like I remember the CEO of, was it Yahoo, Marissa Mayer. She came back to work after 2 weeks of having her child and everything. Everybody was hailing her. Another one were like quick to say, look, let's hang on. Yes. Exactly. So everybody is different, right? So you can't use one egg to brush another person. So all of these things, I really feel that until we are able to have these open conversations about things like this, and okay, how it impacts women, what should be done, what is available. I know that there are some companies that are really trying with creches, there are some people that are doing the best, but then also as a business owner as well, you have to think it's a lot of cost on the business. So as much as you can have the CEO that is empathetic, that is even a woman and everything, but when they look at the numbers, they're like,
I'm paying you to stay at home. I
Do you
understand.
understand?
I
Yeah, I understand. But
understand the
however,
cost, but
do you
however,
understand? Exactly.
mm,
So if you're not going to be productive when you are here, when it comes to like laying off and everything, we're not trying to be discriminatory, but we need the people who have shown this, who have shown that. So all of these things, then, they hinder you. Yeah.
oh, I love it, love it, love it. So, Glory, you and I share something. There is something that is common to me and you, and that
Mm.
is
We are both women.
psoriasis. I love that. I love that. We're both passionate women. We're both teachers at heart. We are both, coaches and many other things. But one more thing that is probably a little bit more distinct and a bit of a rarity, really, is the fact that, I suffered from psoriasis when I was growing up. I think mine started when I was about 18 years old. So today I would like to talk to you about your own journey. First of all, let's talk about what psoriasis is. For people that are like, oh, what did you just say? What psoriasis is, and how it's impacted you, and just to share a bit of that, I would be so much welcome.
Okay, psoriasis is an autoimmune disease which causes the replication of cells. So in English, what it means is that your skin replenishes itself, renews itself every 28 days. But for
28
people
days.
that have psoriasis, so it's such an easy process normally. So you don't even know that your skin is regenerating and replenishing itself. But people with psoriasis, something happens where your skin is replacing itself 2 to 3 times a day. Right? So it now forms scabs on top of scabs on top of scabs. It leaves unsightly marks on the skin. Very uncomfortable, very itchy. Yeah. So that's the summary.
Yeah, I think similar to you, I'd never known anything about it. I don't know how yours started, but it took me a while to even get it diagnosed. So I was back in Nigeria at the time, but I'd love to hear about yours, and I'll share a bit of mine as well.
So mine was my first bout with it. Serious bout was in secondary school, and I just started having. I always had long hair. Like my hair is super long, right? So secondary school as well, I had long hair, and then I started having really bad dandruff, right? And it would form like clumps on my scalp, like really bad clumps. And
How
I
old were
remember
you? How old are you?
so I think I was in SS2, so I should have been about 14, 15
Wow.
thereabouts. And everybody just thought it was really bad dandruff. And secondary school, I was in boarding house, biology. Then we had just studied fungus and bacteria. So everybody thought I had some sort of fungus because I was dirty and things like that. So I remember if I sat on somebody's bed, they would go out and sun their mattress and many, many things, they say I was dirty. So many issues. Anyway, so I remember the going home one time, and my auntie, everyone was like, she needs to scrape her scalp. So I cut my hair because they thought, okay, because they were like, if her
Yes.
scalp starts bleeding and things like that and everything. So they cut my hair, and I came back to school. Can you imagine the girl with the longest hair in school
Oh my
coming
dear.
back with with akimbo?
Glory Makba.
So Gorimapa, exactly. That's what I was looking for. So that was my first bout with it, but still didn't know what it was. And as it came, it left.
Oh, yours left as it came.
Yes, as it came, it left in
Wow.
secondary school. Now, fast forward to I went to the UK and I started noticing it on my thigh. And at first, I thought it was like some sort of ringworm or something else. I was using an ointment, and I went to the doctor and they said it was psoriasis. To be fair, I didn't think anything about it, right? Until it started to appear all over my skin. One day, I was sleeping and I woke up because my body was itching me. I was like, what was this? And I thought, oh, maybe something was on my bed. So I dusted my bedding and went back to sleep. When I woke up, I saw like little marks on my skin. And I just thought, all this way can see. And then the bumps started to join together, started to form. And that's how my whole
Your
skin.
whole skin.
In fact, at a point in my life, about 80% of my skin was covered with psoriasis.
It's so funny
So,
now,
yeah,
the way you're
that was my
saying it.
journey.
Someone might just think, I mean, this is a very, very life-changing thing to happen to somebody. Like the way she just explained it in like 5 minutes, you just think, okay, no. I think having had the experience myself, I know how much it damages your self-confidence, how much you want to be invisible. It's interesting that you're actually a visibility coach. How much you actually want to be invisible. So I started mine. I think the first time I ever noticed psoriasis, for me, it didn't start on my scalp. It started on my body. I hurt myself. I think I'd gone on holiday to the US, but I was in university in Nigeria. So I was about maybe 18, 19, thereabouts. And I hurt myself when I came. And just from that little, there was just like little where I'd hurt myself, little scratch or whatever, bruise, that's the word I'm looking for, little bruise. Next thing it started spreading, started getting bigger. Like, what's going on? Next thing it started spreading all around my body. I started getting on my face and then in my hair, and everybody, similar to you, they're like, we don't know what this is, or you're going from pillar to post. Okay, maybe let's just scrape your hair. You go, and it's just one of those it felt for me very like I was an experiment. Like nobody understood. Very dehumanizing. Like you will go to the barber shop and they'll be looking at you like this, and the barber will bring and they will start scraping and they'll put in all sorts of concoction. You can tell I'm getting triggered. But it's one of those things that a lot of people don't. And one of the reasons why I thought it would be useful for us to do this is because I'm conscious that not enough awareness. There isn't enough awareness on skin diseases, and most importantly, I'll speak because I have a bias with psoriasis, but psoriasis particularly, because first of all, it took so long in Nigeria to get it diagnosed. Nobody knew what it was. And I think for you almost had the benefit of having then going to the UK and then somebody, you seeing obviously maybe a dermatologist that told you what it was. But it's something that I think it's definitely it's what I want to put on the radar. But I wanted to kind of ask you, in terms of your own journey with psoriasis, for you to be saying that, and I had similar experiences, for you to be saying that, you would sit down on somebody's bed and then they will go and sun their mattress. I mean, how were you able to navigate all of that, just emotionally?
I don't know. I think I was in secondary school. And I think this is one of the reasons why I hated. I hated secondary school for many reasons, but this is one of the reasons why I definitely hated secondary school, and why I don't have friends from secondary school. So I don't, how a lot of people, I know people that went to secondary school, but I don't have anybody that I call that is my bosom friend from secondary school. I don't really like many people that went there, so because it really did scar me. I think in the moment I was quite young. So I think in the moment it affected me, but it didn't affect me because I think maybe at that age I also had some level of resilience. And I had a few people that I was really close to, so that outside school and also in school, so that helped a bit. But I just remember feeling alone. I think that's the word. So I remember feeling very alone with the process at the time.
It can be very isolating, because it's not something that happens to a lot of people. So it's not like you can turn around. I mean, thank God for the advancement of, I don't know, technology or whatever. I now know more people that had it. But prior to even 2 years ago, I didn't know anybody else that was Nigerian that had psoriasis. What am I saying 2 years ago? Prior to last year, I didn't know any single person. So imagine you being the only person, you don't, and being in a situation where you don't even know what it is. So it's not even like you can explain it the way you've explained it. Oh, it's a skin condition where your skin regenerates every 30 days. I didn't have that explanation to give to people. I didn't, because I didn't even... So I think finally I got diagnosed by a dermatologist, but gone.
No. So I think when I would think back to when I think back to even when I now started having it, like 90% of my skin, not being able to wear skirts for 7, 8 years of my life or more, always having to wear like thick tights, not being able to even. I remember one time I went because I used to have it. I don't know if you look really well, you see like this part of my forehead is dark because I had a big swatch of it here. And
I did as well.
I remember one time I went to church and this lady came to me and she's like, "You didn't put your makeup. You didn't finish your makeup. You stopped your makeup here." So I ran to the bathroom to go and I got there and I couldn't see it. I couldn't see what she was talking about. And when when I looked well, I was like, "Oh, she thinks that I deliberately stopped my makeup here, right?" So I had to go back and tell her that that's how my face is. I mean, what else can I? How else can I explain? But then I think when I should say though that when I now had it all over my skin, at that point I really did have great friends. I remember I was staying with one of my friends in Norma at the time, and my skin was always peeling. I would sit down somewhere, wake up, my scalp would have peeled. There would be everything on the floor, but they never made me feel like as if compared to that experience in secondary school. They never made me feel bad. They were, very accommodating. In fact, the sister used to help me to like brush out the flakes from my hair and everything. So I remember that. I remember that a lot. My cousins, everybody really being there for me. And I think that now insulated me to this extent that I even forgot that I had it. So when I would hear people saying, "What's that on her skin?" Because I forgot it, I also thought people couldn't see it. So when I would get comments, I'll be like, "Yeah, is it that obvious?" But I think it did. So you have to understand that when I was younger, I was the girl that people came to say, "What do you use on your face?" What cream if I'm shopping.
You had that.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So when I'm shopping, people would see the cream I'm putting in my basket and say, "Is this what you're using?" Blah 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 blah. So to change from that to this person, it was soul crushing. It was really soul crushing.
I think that is really the word that comes to mind as well, soul crushing. Because the thing about psoriasis as well, for people who don't know, is that for some people it comes in cycles. I don't know if it was the same for you. You will have it and then you use all the topical gels or whatever you're taking, the medication, and then it goes for a while. And the part that used to make me, that used to crush my soul the most, was when it starts coming back and you start to see the first signs that it's coming, and you know where it is headed. You know that there is nothing you can do to stop it. You just feel so powerless. I mean, do you want to speak to that?
So I think because I used to go through my own every 3 months, so I'm on an injection that gives me good skin for like 3 months, and after 3 months it starts to wear off and I start to see it. So I go through this every 3 months. I think, if I'm honest, Tomba, I think I have developed a resilience to it, where I'm just like, okay, is this what it is? It's time for your medicine. Go and find your medicine. Do you understand? I think I have. I think because then I'm trying to engage with the emotions that I used to feel then, and honestly, in my brain there is a hard stop that is preventing me from dwelling there, from going there. So I think somehow my brain immunity has just said, okay, this is how we deal with this. So I remember one day my dad had said to me, "Oh, I don't think it's psoriasis. I think it's something called psychosis or something." I can't remember. And my dad is a medical doctor. So I went to the London School of Tropical Medicine and they took swabs, they did everything, blah, blah, blah. And then they now came back and they said it's psoriasis. I cried in that hospital. I cried. And I swore after that day, no more experiments. No more this is this. No more. Because nobody understands what you go through. People will give you different things to try, different things to do, and all of that. Nobody understands that drop in emotion that you go through when those things don't work. But and that was the last day I experimented with anything. This is like maybe 15 years ago. I stopped it. So now there's nothing you want to tell me to try that I would try, because when it doesn't work, you are not there with me to pick me up. That day, I don't think I can can't remember crying, unless maybe when somebody died. I cried like somebody had died. It took, everything to bring. I remember the one of the doctors came out to meet me in the waiting room and had a talk with me because I was distraught. I was distraught
because your hope had been built up, like, maybe this is it, there's something else, and I'm going to, oh my goodness. And then
so I learned, I think that is why maybe my brain, maybe from there I started developing some sort of mental resilience, right? This is what it is, this is what I have to deal with, and this is what I have to do to sustain that. And I have just kept doing that, and I don't allow myself to engage deeper than that. So, woe is me, what is this? And I remember one time I was, praying about it. I was just like, God, why can't you heal me? Like, what is this? Why can't you heal me? And I remember, I think it was one of Pastor Paula DeFarrison's tapes I was listening to. This is over 10 years ago. And he said, if God does not heal you, is he's not still God? And I think that was another come to Jesus moment for me, where I just said, okay, and the truth about it is that I don't know that I would be the person I am today if I didn't have psoriasis. Psoriasis changed my life in the sense that it made me a very different Glory. The work that I do today is because I had psoriasis, right? It's essentially because I never want another woman to feel unseen, to feel. So, when I had to create my own standard of beauty, Tombra, I had to say,
speak to me about
because I was no more beautiful in the way the world sees beauty, right? So I had to create my own standard, and then to top it up, at least if you're even slim. I'm not fat. So I was not even grappling with two demonic issues, as they say.
demonic issues.
So I really had to sit down and say, what is valuable to me? What is beauty to me? How do I face the world with this? So a lot of times people will say things to me like, "You're so brave," and I used to wonder, do I really look like that bad for someone to say I'm so brave? I must really be horrible, look horrible for someone to say I'm so brave for just living. For just being able to, because that means what they're trying to say is that if I was you, I would not even come out. I would be indoors, So I think that psoriasis, even though it's terrible, even though I pray every day to be healed and all of that, and to stop, because it's really expensive. I take really expensive medication to be able to present myself like this to you.
Oh, wow.
So even though I pray for it to be healed and all of that, I'm like, God, I've taken the lesson now. I've taken the lesson. I'm taking the lesson.
What else is
Can
there?
we not move on, from this particular mountain? But it has made me. I don't want anybody to feel like this. At the time, I felt like there was a cloth over my body. I remember one time, even people that were close to me were saying that the reason why I wasn't married was because I had psoriasis. So many things that people say to you that break you, and each time I have to build myself up. I have to find who I am, and I think that's what psoriasis did. It made me find my spirit. It made me find who Glory is.
Do you know what? Yeah, Glory. What is interesting about this conversation is that you are actually articulating emotions that I have or I had that I didn't know were there. So when you say that if not for psoriasis, you wouldn't be the person that you are today, I can actually completely see that as well, because I got to that place where you said you got to, where is that, you know what? You basically put a boundary between you and the condition. You said, okay, psoriasis, no problem. You stay on this side. Glory will stay on this side. And that is exactly what I did as well for me. I would have those things coming up and I, scrape my head. I used to wear wigs. Before people knew, before all this Brazilian and all of that, I've been wearing wigs. I used to wear tights to university, long sleeve shirts. So similar to you, I never showed my leg, never showed my hands because I was covered. It was even coming up to my face and all that, and I think the parts that broke me, would be parts where people will speak about me, or, there were times where, people would speak about me and I will find out, or somebody would tell me, I would hear things like, no one would ever marry her. Look at her skin, it's disgusting, things like that. And it would really pierce, very, very hurtful, piercing things. And I think something snapped in my head at that point. Something snapped in my head at that point, because at some point I just decided that, you know what, I will not let this thing control me. I will not let this thing define who I get to be. And I basically just drew a line in the sand, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to do my own thing and let the psoriasis be on its own. And what that did in me was that it developed resilience. What that did was, that was my season for that refinement. That was my season for that perseverance, that thing in me, that fighting spirit in me to become developed. Because as I'm telling you, I basically just drew a line in the sand, and I just continued. So I can totally relate to you when you say, you know what, the person you are now and the things that you are doing and how resilient that you have become, a lot of it is actually due to, the experience that you've had that relate to psoriasis.
Yeah, very, 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 very correct. Very correct. Like, I'm just listening to you and I'm just like, man, person don't go through some things. But yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
Obviously, you can afford it. At the time, I could afford treatments and all of that. There are people who are going through this condition who don't have those kind of things. They don't have those kind of things to fall back on. There are people who are going through this condition. They cannot buy the medication that they need. They feel like, you know what, all hope is lost. I don't know what we can share. Obviously, I'm gonna be announcing something towards the end of this session, but we're nearing the end now. But I just wanted you to just maybe, I don't know, encourage somebody who is going through this, who may just feel as if, like, you know what, there is no hope. Particularly when you say you had to define your own standard of beauty. I think that was so powerful, and I want you to just speak to that.
From my own perspective, right, I feel like with psoriasis, you have to create your own hope, right? And there are two kind of outcomes. The first is, and I hope the first is your outcome where, it goes and never comes back again on its own, just the way it came, just disappeared. Or, you kind of have to live with it in your life and develop your own resilience out of it. But whatever the solution is for you, whichever it is, I want you to know that God has created your way out. He has created your own specific insulation, your own way of working through that problem. So my advice to you is to spend time finding it. Focus less on the external. So what people are saying, how you are being judged, and more about who do you want to be through this process? How do you want to emerge? Who are you, right? Beyond successes, beyond the external marks, you focus on that. What do you want to do with the life that you have? Because I think that for me, I stopped focusing on psoriasis as this hindrance and started off, who is Glory? What does Glory want?
My own advice generally to people who might be going through this and feeling as if, you know what, this is it. The truth is, as Glory says there, God will always make a way of escape. He will always make a way of escape. Nobody has been condemned to a life of, pain and suffering. Within it, there will be a way that you can find your own bubble of joy. You can find your own bubble of happiness if you actually look for it. And also to say that your value is way more than what people perceive of you by looking at your skin. Your beauty is skin deep. You carry inherent value. You carry value on the inside of you that is more beautiful. Your spirit is beautiful. Your body, your spirit is beautiful, and your skin is too. But you've got to ask yourself, by whose standards are you defining that beauty? So you create your own standard for which you will define that beauty. The other thing I wanted to say as well is, as part of this, conversation, I've been speaking to Glory offline, and I know one of the things that's been on my heart is, putting together some sort of way to help people who are actually currently struggling with psoriasis, who may not have, the funds to get the drugs and the medication that they need. So if you're listening to this podcast, I will be doing a GoFundMe in support of people that are currently living with psoriasis. I'm actually going to be starting a foundation. Very, thank you. Clap for yourself too, because you're helping on it as well. I'm starting a foundation called the Angel Skin Psoriasis Foundation, which will be helping with raising awareness of, psoriasis in general, and then helping people helping ease the lifestyle, and helping ease the people, the caregivers of those who are living with psoriasis. So I would love for you to partner with me, with us on this project. Details of the GoFundMe will be on the show notes for this. I would love for you to support and really, really help really help make the lives of people living with psoriasis a lot better. One of the things that we said at the beginning is, one of the things that we should actually say is, psoriasis is non-contagious. It's not contagious at all. But a lot of times, because, the enlightenment around it, or the knowledge of it, is so poor, and particularly in, Nigeria, people don't know what it is. So instantly, when they see people with psoriasis, everybody, the first thing is like, what is that? And they just want to move back and just, leave you on your own. So one of the things that I'm hoping to be able to do with this foundation is to, raise awareness, so that, educate people on what psoriasis is as well, so that people are less like, I don't know. I don't know if the word is say less likely to pull away, but at least people understand what it is. And if possible, even give the words to the people who are experiencing it, so that they can educate those around them as well. So yeah, that is going to be happening. That is going to be happening.
No, Sandra, I think this is such an amazing initiative. Well
Thank you.
done on setting it up. I can't even imagine what my life would be like if I was not able to afford the drugs and the medication to live a normal life, I think it would have been so. I remember when you were telling me about this earlier, I was so moved, because I know a lot of people who are struggling. And so this is why, and the thing about it is that when you're in that situation where I was,
Yeah,
you're desperate.
you're
You're so
desperate.
desperate to believe anything, to do anything, to try anything. Even if you are finding your own level of peace, the people around you are
The
desperate
people
for you.
around you.
Yeah, they're desperate for you. They want you to find a solution. They want, and my mom used to say, "This thing is paining me," and I used to tell her, "It's not paining you like how it's paining me. No matter what, it's not reaching you, And then so many people have come to tell my mom about one supplement, one this and everything. So I keep telling her, I say, I can't. It's a different thing if somebody brings ointment to rub. I can't take anything in my mouth. I don't know who made it. I don't know all these different supplements of this. I don't want to call names of any brands, but that they bring up from doing from different network marketing and all of that. And I'm like, I don't know these companies. They are not regulated by anybody. I'm going to put something in my mouth and be drinking something.
That
So
is.
that's why the awareness part is so important, because you really give and there's another guy I met that had psoriasis that somebody introduced me to. He left his family, went to the village, to go and deal with, because it was everywhere. And they're telling him in the village now that it is his uncle that is doing him. It's nobody that is doing him. It's psoriasis. Do you understand? So all of these things, so it's so
Yeah.
important. It's so important what you're doing. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. I think what you've just said, that's just almost made me very emotional, because I remember I my story isn't really like yours, but I remember just everyone would toss something at me. Every single person that knows me would toss something at me. And bless them, they're all trying to help. They're all trying to help. But this person knows this thing. Why don't you drink this? Why don't you do this? Even when you go to the barbers to, when I went to the barbers to scrape my head, they're mixing something. And in fact, that was one of the most horrible experiences ever. Mixed something and shaved my head, and my head was, and then they were putting the thing and it was hurting me, and I was screaming and I was crying, and I was just wishing I could just, be somebody else. That's where sometimes it will take you. Like, what is this? What? And so I'm this is important, guys, for you guys listening. This is important. The people who need this really, really need this. This is the way you show up to help them. This is the way that you give them hope. This is the way that we can actually make a difference collectively with regards to psoriasis in Nigeria, particularly. But yeah, we're starting in Nigeria, but who knows? It might go further afield, but we're certainly starting in Nigeria. So yeah, please spread the word and give. Thank you so much. Glory, it's been so great having you on the show. Thank you so much. Do you have any closing words, final words for my people?
So first of all, thank you for listening to the end. I really, really hope that you will find space, the time, and the resources to support on this mission. I know that there's always something that you can support. There's so many worthy causes out there, but honestly, I think that if you're supporting somebody with psoriasis, if I wish I had this support. Right. I wish people understood what was going on. I think that it would have made my journey much more easier. And when I think about younger girls in this world now, at least then when I was, I don't want to reveal my age, but we didn't have so much social media pressure. There wasn't so much pressure to be a slay queen and all of that. So with this, it really messes with the psyche of a human being, not just women, but I told you about a guy that I know that left his family because of psoriasis. He was ashamed, couldn't go to work, couldn't do anything because psoriasis is so dilapidating, right? Like if you go online, just Google pictures of psoriasis, you will see people are going through, I remember one time I had to leave the office because I was doing Ajaska, I was scratching everywhere, and I had to go and take an injection to help with the itching. So I think that's what I'm saying is please support. What you are doing is, you are giving somebody back some level of dignity in their life.
Dignity in their life.
That's what you're doing by supporting, giving somebody dignity. No amount is too small. It would really, really help. It would really, really help. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me this week on Created for More, the podcast. Make sure you visit my website. I'm at tombra.com, where you can subscribe to the show either via iTunes or Spotify so that you never miss a show going forward. You can also follow me on social media. I'm at tombra.moswago. And if you love the show, please leave a rating on iTunes so that we can continue to bring you amazing episodes. Thanks for listening.